colony of moths any minute now. Good thing you're watching the Vomitorium, or else you wouldn't know this. You can support the show at www.streamlabs.com/Vomitorium Live. Good luck in the apocalypse!
on in. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Vomitorium, as always. I am your host, The Metal, and I'm here to talk about whatever is interesting me today, which mostly includes Arknight's Enfield. That's probably going to be the bulk of what we talk about today. I'm pretty excited for that game. I've been waiting on it for quite a while. Never got invited to any of the betas, but that is just how it's been these days. It feels weird, I guess, especially a lot of these Asian developers probably just have completely different whitelists or whatever. I think a lot of times they're just more likely to let you in if you are a popular channel. But I know my old email address used to be whitelisted for a lot of Western games back in the day because I was getting into betas left and right, closed technical tests, pre-alphas, all kinds of things. I kind of miss it, but also at the same time, it's probably for the best because my computer can't run shit these days. I need to get a new one. We might also talk about some movie stuff after that, so yeah, if that's what you're interested for, just wait on through, or if you're listening to this in the future, you can probably just keep skipping ahead every 5 to 10 minutes until you start hearing something you like about, and then just tune it back a little bit until you get to the fine point. Anyhow, if you're interested in all these things or anything I talk about, please grab that link wherever it is, above, below, in a share button. Share it off to a friend, a mortal enemy, anybody at all, and tell them to tune in and that they suck if they don't. Okay, so Arknights Enfield. It was this morning, I believe. For me, still, it is still the same day, where we had a live presentation for the launch. It was the pre-launch live stream. It is launching the 22nd, so sometime next week. Actually, when is the 22nd? Let me look it up. Thursday next week, so about a week from now. But probably already Friday for them, so that's probably why they did it when they did. And it is a new gacha game, but it is a very, very expansive looking game, even at just launch. Obviously, any of these games, on how expansive they will be how much they support and how frequently things are added to the game after launch, but it looks like you will be able to spend a hell of a lot of time at the launch of the game just doing whatever. It is an expansion to the Arknights franchise, which I believe, to my knowledge, is only one other game before this. I played it back, I don't know, when it was still remotely new globally. I don't know if it was in their local areas prior to it launching here, but globally it was fairly new when I tried it. I played it for like 2 months. I really liked the world and the characters in Arknights. I thought that was all cool. The tower defense gameplay really didn't do much for me, which is why I eventually kind of just like paced out of it. But that's part of why I'm excited for Enfield, because it's like I like their world building. I like everything that they're doing with that. And the gameplay in this one, it seems to be a bit more up my alley. Something I'm just a little bit more interested in general. Not even so much the open world exploration part, because I could take or leave that in most games, but it seems very fitting for this one. But the combat looks fun. The story progression from what I've seen people playing the beta looks fun. I like the character design too, but a lot of it is just taking a lot of the same design aspects, direction from the previous Arknights and bringing it into 3D. So if I liked it there, I probably would like it here, depending on how well it translates, and I think it translates pretty well to 3D. They know what they're doing. I'm not interested in all of the gameplay completely, but I'm interested in enough of it. And the gist I got from that live stream this morning was that they are trying to structure the game in such a way that people who are interested in one aspect of the gameplay can dive really heavy into that. Like if you're really into the combat, you can focus on min-maxing your combat capability, getting combos off and stuff like that with the people. But if you're not, you can kind of just shuffle past that. If you're really interested in the sort of Factorio style factory building management for the bases, you can dive into that and be one of the people who min-max that, and you could actually help everybody else, because it is a multiplayer game, so people who are really good at the combat can help people maybe get past certain things that way, but the people who are really good at min-maxing the factory building will be able to share their blueprints with everyone. And as long as you have all of the things that are needed in their blueprint, you can just place down the entire model and your people will get to work building it, which is cool because I'm not super into games like Factorio. I'll probably try it for a little bit. You know, I'll try to do enough of my own base building to get me by, but when I really just need to be efficient about it, I am definitely just going to borrow people's blueprints because it's not something that really interests me much at all. I do like city management games. I love, like, the SNES SimCity, and I like a lot of the, like, zoo and roller coaster tycoons and stuff like that in the past. I even like SimCity 2000 on the PC. That was a pretty fun one, too. But once it starts getting to the level of, like, Factorio, that's the only game whose name I can think of that I'm comparing this to, even though I know there's a whole genre of games that are basically exactly like that. It just loses me. It's not even that I can't, you know, but I stopped seeing it as anything but circuits. You know, like, I start plugging everything in like I'm building a circuit board, and I could do it. I'm just bored doing it. It's not something that really keeps me interested. So I'm glad that they're doing the whole blueprint thing. That is probably one of the biggest bits of news from that live stream that caught my attention and kept me really interested in it. It's like, oh, is this something I'm really going to have to dedicate a lot of my time to if I don't like? No, it's not something I'm going to have to dedicate a lot of time to if I don't like it. That's good. And I think that's good for a live service game, right? I think if they just did all the work for you, that would be bad. Because it's a game, and if you don't like a certain aspect of the game, that's like a heavy aspect of the game, you probably just shouldn't play the game. And if that was going to be the case, I probably just wouldn't play the game. Like, what's the point if you're just going to have the game play it for you? But something that I've talked about many, many times about live service games is live service games should not be treated as if you are the only person playing the game, which a lot of these gacha games function like that most of the time, unless they have some type of community or guild system built into it, maybe some multiplayer. But any live service game should treat it as if there is an entire community of players, a whole player base playing it, and you should be able to help each other, and you should be able to get hints from each other and stuff like that in-game. You shouldn't have to go to some external site, to YouTube, to what's a popular one, Game 8, or any of these places, to IGN. You shouldn't have to go somewhere else to be able to get information that you need to progress or to min-max something outside of the game. I like that there are community aspects being put in. That is a positive to the game. So, something that would otherwise be a negative, like I said, if the factory building in Arknight's Enfield was something that, to streamline it, they just did it for you, that would be a negative and probably push me away from the game. But the fact that it is something where other players can make the blueprints to help people out in the aspects that they just don't find as interesting, that's a positive. That leans into the benefit of it being a live service. Super plus. Actually, almost everything. I don't think there was a single thing I saw in that live presentation that was negative to me. For a lot of people, I mean, it just being a gacha game is negative. The convoluted pity system, I think, maybe I could say is the most negative thing I saw. It wasn't that bad. I've seen worse pity systems and how the gacha works in other games, but it was probably the worst part of it. I don't dislike that it's a gacha game. I quite like the gacha aspect of games. I think it adds a certain flavor and rush to it that you wouldn't get otherwise. But the system really shouldn't be convoluted. People should be able to understand very clearly how it works. From what I can tell, it's because the people working on this game have an engineering mindset. You can see it throughout the entirety of the game, including the Factorio-like system that I mentioned before. I think you could see it in the previous game, since it was mostly a TD, right? And tower defenses are the type of games that really appeal to the engineering mindset. Well, one of several types of games that really appeal to people who like to plan things out, city planners, engineers, and anything like that. So I'm guessing this pity system, the reason why it's as convoluted as it is because it also appeals to the engineering mindset of the people working on it. There's all these little hooks on where, like, you'll get this thing at this many pity, which will lean over to this thing, and your pity, I think, not per banner, maybe, but per character saves. I think that's what they were trying to say. So no, it wasn't that. It was still per banner, but it was the characters don't just disappear. There's like a queue of characters. So after they're the main one, it bounces down to another queue. So for like 2 different banner systems, they'll still be there and they'll be bumped over, and other things will fall into the queue. So you have plenty of time to get the character you want. I think that's really good. There's all these like little things. I'd have to look at the chart again because I don't remember it quite from the presentation earlier today. But I know people took screenshots, so I probably could find that if I really wanted to talk about it. I don't. But there's like all these little marker points where you get like surprise pity. If you hit here, this raises the chance that you'll end up getting this. It was very confusing. And I'm sure many people will be making entire videos to explain just exactly how the pity in Arknight's Enfield works. Or many people will probably just save up 120 pulls until they pull for the character they want. They're like, this is just, I have it all dedicated. I know 120 pulls guarantees it for me. And if I get it early, I get it early, and I'll save up until we get 120 pulls again. There's a lot of people who just aren't going to deal with the pity system. I already know it. I think I saw, maybe it was like Captain Cabinets or somebody who already said that. So that was probably the one negative thing. The positive thing is not all of the goodies they're giving away. They are giving, I think, enough pulls to guarantee the first character that you want at the start, as long as you do everything, you log in, check in, you're a new player. I think you might even have to pre-register to get some of them, but there's going to be more than enough to just guarantee you get a character that you want. I don't see that as a positive. It's cool. I'm not going to say it's not cool, but all these games do this stuff, and the onboarding bonuses should not be something that draws you to a game. The gameplay that you're going to have to deal with for a very long time should be the thing that draws you to the game. So I'm, for the most part, just going to ignore all of the onboarding bonuses. They are giving a 6-star healer for free, though. That's pretty cool. The girl who looks like a little sheep. But again, onboarding bonus. It'll be a permanent part of your account. No complaints there. So you'll be able to have her plus another one of your choice, as long as you don't waste your pulls roughly within the starting period of the game. They said they streamlined a lot of the stuff about the combat, which, I mean, I doubt anybody who somehow got to this has not seen any of the beta footage. But if they haven't, the way Arknight Enfield works compared to other like open world exploration gacha games is, instead of just having the single character when you're in single player mode standing on the field and then you swap between your characters in the same instance, like they take up the same space, in Enfield they are running around with you at all times. I guess some action games that I could compare that to would be the Mana series, right? The Seiken Densetsu Sword of Legend series, known as the Mana series in the West, in English, where all the characters are running around and you can swap between them. I think that's the one it's most like, because you can swap between your characters, but you can also compare it to things like Kingdom Hearts, maybe even Mass Effect, except it's hack and slash combat. So I would probably keep Mass Effect out of there, but all your characters are on the field at all times in that game, as another example. You also can't swap between your characters in Kingdom Hearts and Mass Effect, so that already puts them further away from this. I guess, other non-action games that are like this, you could throw things like Xenoblade Chronicles in there, and Final Fantasy 12 can also be thrown in there, where you do just have like a crew of people running around the field together. Or like the trust system in 14. Except you can still control all the characters. You just swap between them. Your characters can combo off of each other, which makes it a lot more like Xenoblade in that regard. I like that the characters can combo off of each other. The fact that you can do environment combos very similar to Genshin, but all your people being on the field and you can have them do commands and stuff even when you're not piloting that particular character is probably the coolest action. They were showing how one of the characters who uses like gravity, she's like a gravity witch. Can't remember her name, but she was pretty cool. She can group all the characters together and she could displace them, toss them in the air, knock up. They can't do anything. But while they're doing that, she can also, in almost like a very Genshin way, I think pulls in like fire, or you can use like a fire person to combo off of that too. I don't think it has an elemental reaction system like Genshin, just that the way things combo into each other do. I could be wrong on that. I haven't seen enough of the combat to know if they have any type of system. I just like that the characters can combo into each other, because if characters can combo into their moves, that means, yes, there will probably be, for most fights, an optimal party composition for whichever character you like. Sure, that's going to happen. That's math, right? It's going to be partially skill, but partially math. You can't avoid that. They're like, this is the combination of characters that makes my favorite character do the biggest number. But because everybody's going to be doing a bunch of like crazy things, you could probably just find things that you have more fun doing. Maybe you really like the grouping the characters and explosion, and maybe a few different characters have weird moves that knock all the enemies around like a pinball machine. I don't know all the future characters they're planning on, but that could be something that happens. I like the level of freedom that it looks like they're giving. Also, the world looks really fun to explore. It's big. Like, it doesn't look like a very condensed world. It looks like there's probably spots filled with nothing, so you actually do have to, like, wander across large distances where it may feel like a drag, but they also have the zipline system. So the zipline system would kind of suck if the map wasn't big enough to warrant wanting to set up zip lines. And I like that. I like that the initial exploration will be kind of slow, and it feels like you're really earning going somewhere. And then you can set up your own faster travel, because then it feels like you earned the faster travel. I think everything in a video game is better when the player feels like you earned it. The whole time I was watching the Arknight Enfield presentation, everything I kept saying to myself is, this feels like an actual video game that I would have played growing up. This feels like an actual video game I would have played growing up. I just kept repeating, it's like, that's a video game thing. That's an actual video game thing. The environment seems very interactable, because you could just build stuff anywhere, more or less. Not like anywhere. Sometimes like the ground might be too unstable, or the thing you want doesn't have the resource that it needs to build on. Like they were showing off a water pump using to drain a pond, or I don't know if it was a pond. It was kind of like a drainage, like a relief, like a levee, or just some type of man-made drainage. But it was backed up, and you needed to get down in there. So they were trying to drain it out to somewhere else, and they put a water pump. And it was showing that the water pump just can't be placed anywhere, right? Like putting a water pump down away from water would result in it not being useful. But they were showing that you could put them basically all around the drainage. You could put them in weird places. You could put as many as you want if you want to drain it faster. How you use your resources and how you build is going to be up to you. I think that's really cool. It just feels like you're actually doing stuff in an open world. There is like a linear story you can follow, but with the side missions and everything else, it does feel like it is up to you to figure out how to solve things in the world. And that's what I want from a video game. I don't necessarily want creativity, though creativity can be great. I just want agency. I want to feel like what I do matters. That's how we progress into the world. And that is all of the green flags that I kept seeing throughout the Arknights Enfield presentation was a lot of player agency will be the focus of development. I'm probably going to stream it, I think. I don't know if I will play any amount of it before I stream it on the 22nd when it comes out, because I will probably have a private account and a stream account, as I usually do with this stuff. Maybe I'll do blind reaction of the game on the stream account first. I'll just, go in, I'll set up my personal account so I don't miss any, login stuff. But then I will just go and start streaming it whenever it's live that day. I might even cancel the talk show if we go late, if we're just having a lot of fun with it. Because it will be on the PlayStation 5, and I think I can't stream directly from there. So that will be a fun time. But they were just showing off so many things. The world looks great. The combat looks great. The characters also look great. And they've listened to a lot of feedback from the closed beta tests. They were talking about a lot of the complaints that a lot of the beta testers were having that were voiced to them, directly how they wanted to solve those complaints. They even changed the amount of resources in the game because a lot of the players just felt like there weren't enough. Like, we cannot get the things we want reasonably with the resources that are in the game. Now, obviously, you don't want to put so many resources in the game that every single player is free to play. That would be ridiculous. But you want to put enough resources in the game that people don't feel stressed out. I think usually the average is that you kind of want there to be enough resources that it is likely a player will get one character per patch. That's usually what you want to do for main patches, not talking about hot fixes or anything in there, but the actual main X.X patch. You want there to be enough that people can aim for one character a patch. If there aren't enough for that in the game, you're probably going to start losing people. That's the typical feeling of relief in gacha, and I think that's what they were saying when it just didn't feel like there was enough accessible currency in the game, and they addressed that directly. They increased, I think, the drops of all of the chest types that are in the open world, and they've said it's not going to be easy to find some of them. Sure, somebody's going to put a guide out there, whatever, it happens for every game. But if you actually want to go and find it yourself, some of them are going to take quite a bit of searching or ingenuity to figure out where they are or how to get them. But they also said that some of the chests can be surprise chests where you get even more currency than you would have otherwise to help address that issue. And I think that's pretty cool. The devs really felt like, at least the way it came off, and it's a lot of marketing. Obviously, you have to talk a certain way whenever you're doing one of these presentations. You just don't really have a choice. You're trying to sell the game to people. You want them to get excited. You want to have your presentation in such a way that people come out feeling the way I did. Hey, Kefnet, how's it going? It's going great. I'm talking about the Enfield presentation. If you have any opinions, you can always chime in. But you want, as a dev, you want to talk in the way that will excite people the most as possible about your game and have them coming out feeling the way I did from it, because I'm really excited from that presentation. And one of the things that I was most excited is just all the little things where they were addressing complaints from beta, and we're solving it this way, we're solving it that way. I think even the blueprints might have been something that they were toying around with adding later on, but because of complaints that people had from beta, they just threw it right in from the start. I love that. See, Kefta says, I think the Enfield presentation was solid. Did see they're doing an event where they plan to buy a satellite and send it up into space. Yeah, that was pretty cool. I am stoked. I think that is the proper word for how I'm feeling after that presentation. I am stoked. I am excited to play the game. I even kind of know which unit I want to aim for from the start. Yvonne looks pretty cool. The kind of pink, I think she was supposed to be like a dragon girl who uses a gun. And I love the noises she was making as she was firing. She was going like, doot, 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 doot. That was pretty cool. I like her personality already. I think even though the fiery redhead, who's gonna I think be the first banner, also looks good. I don't know if I'm named for her. I might save and just get Yvonne because she just looks great. Kefta says, only issue I have is my favorite Arknight's character won't be in Enfield. Yeah, because it looks like it's pretty much a brand new cast, right? I don't know. Like I said, I mentioned earlier, I only played the original Arknights for maybe 2 months whenever it released globally. I don't know if it was released before global. Just whenever it was released globally, I played it for a couple months. I really liked the characters and the lore from what I remember, but I don't remember a lot of things very specifically. I just didn't care too much for the tower defense gameplay. That's what made me kind of eventually drop it. But everything about this game, well, not everything. There's some things I'm not as excited about, but the fact that they're building it in such a way that you don't have to be excited about everything. That alone makes me excited about everything. You love Scotty, I think that's probably how that's pronounced. Scotty, or maybe it's Skady. But in Arknights and Enfield, you like Fluorite so far. Cool. Yeah, I think all the characters look good. A lot of these games, especially when the environments tend to get more realistic, the characters, they tend to make their outfits more realistic. I don't really like that. They're not doing that here. Even the environment, as realistic as it is, it's still very, very stylized. All the characters are really stylized. They're just like high fidelity stylized. I think they all look great. But usually as things get higher fidelity, a lot of designers want to make their male characters look stupid for some reason. I don't think that's the case here. I actually think a lot of the male characters look pretty cool. None of the characters look over-designed so far. That's an exciting thing for me. A lot of the people in the field of competing against Genshin for open world games have this tendency of wanting to over-design their characters. It's a criticism I have of quite a few Wuthering Waves characters. I do not get that feeling from Enfield at all. They have very, very solid designs for everything. They have a top-notch art team over there. And you can feel the art direction in literally everything down to the environments. So, as an artist myself, if I even want to call myself that, but as an illustrator and graphic designer, I really appreciate everything that they are doing, from the characters to the world. I also like, obviously, because Arknights, the original, did so well that they have quite a lot of money to work with. I like that for their first presentation, they kind of went all out with the sets to let people know, it's like, hey, this is how invested we are into the game. It was a lovely presentation in a literal manner. I liked looking at everything in the background behind them. I'm trying to remember some of the other notes from it that really excited me. Because I talked about the combat. I talked about the building system, but not just like the factory building system. I also talked about how like you can build objects in other places to use for puzzles. I like that the world itself is a puzzle. I think that's what I was talking about before, where it's going to be up to you to use everything at your disposal to just solve things in the world. Instead of having puzzles in the world is being constructed as a puzzle. It feels like there's more artistic intentionality with the game that way. Everything just feels like it's one system, even if you're just solving a single part of the system. which I think is probably going to help with people getting more immersed in the world. I'm trying to remember, what were they calling it? Valley 4, I think, is the area that we're starting in. Valley 4 looks like it has a lot of problems for you to solve. And that's what I want. As a hero, I want to be dropped into a world with a lot of problems for me to solve. I think we're probably going to spend too much time with this game. I'm still going to try to continue pushing our streaming Genshin, or not Genshin, Genshin's on the back burner, our streaming Zenless account to catch up. But that might have to be pushed back a little bit, where I might have to go back and forth because Enfield just looks so good that I think we're just going to be dropping a lot of time into it. Might even do a day one stream. Oh God, there's so much. So much to it. It was a pretty long presentation, I think. How long was it? Actually, it's in the Discord. I can check there. Or can I? No, when you drop links, they don't actually give you the time for it. Let me look. I think maybe Google will have it, or I guess I could always go to YouTube and just not click on it. But I remember it felt like we were sitting there for a long time. I stayed up, right? For most people, it was an unreasonable hour to have stayed up for. Instead, they would have went to sleep and just woke up early. Because I think it was like 5 a.m. for me. But, you know, I go to sleep usually around 4, so it was easier for me to stay up than it was for me to like go to sleep and wake back up. No, this is going to be hard to find going through my entire history. Where was it? Where was that stream? You have no idea how many things I watch every single day. Okay, it was an hour and 36 minutes. Okay, it didn't just feel like I was there forever. I was actually there forever. It's also starting to get hot in here. Yeah, so it's hard to remember what was it. I don't think the whole stream was, though. I think they had it on for a while before the stream, so maybe we could drop half an hour off of that. So it was probably like an hour-long stream. I do remember it played like a loading screen with a countdown timer for when the actual thing was going to start. But an hour-long presentation is really hard to remember every single thing from it. I like the headquarters. I like the concept of the base building. Like, I'm not going to be really negative about it and just rely on the blueprints for the factories. I do really like the concept of you're kind of just in this area and you have to make the most of it. It's almost like a survival situation of building up all of your resources and material. And the main area looks cool. So I will try to build as complicated as a factory as I can before I get bored with that part. But I will probably spend most of my time just like wandering into caves and fighting random monsters and stuff. Because to me, that's the fun part of the game. I have not spoiled myself on any story. I don't know what is going on aside from what they showed in the special presentation. I don't want to know. Even when I was watching stuff from the closed beta, I was mostly only watching character gameplay. I avoided watching too many longer streams. I didn't want to know what the starting story was. I assume it's going to be really good, though, if it's the same people who wrote stuff for the original Arknights. I don't know how much of the team's the same. I don't know how much they have more than a team. I don't know too much about the studio. But if it's the same people, I expect the story to be good. So yeah. I think that's all I have to say about Arknights. I've been talking about it for, what, 35 minutes now. I did have a couple other things I wanted to hit up before the show ends. And some of it is movie news. And so the coolest thing I saw today when it comes to movie news is that Speedy Gonzales, the Looney Tunes character, officially has an animated movie in the works at Warner Brothers. It's one of those movies that you probably would have never expected to see just because of how some executives feel about Speedy Gonzales as a character. But it is being directed by Jorge R. Gutierrez, who is the creator of El Tigre, The Adventures of Manny Rivera, and the Book of Life. So that's probably going to be really good. I know he's actually from Mexico City, so he's got a lot of ties to Mexican heritage directly. That's why that's usually the stuff that he works on. I like that flavor. I've enjoyed the things that I just listed off from him. And listen, I know a lot of Mexicans, especially growing up in Texas. Some people might think Speedy Gonzales is a racist character. Nobody loves Speedy Gonzales like Mexicans like Speedy Gonzales, especially the ones who were actually from like Mexico within a single generation and aren't people who've just been here for a long time and still associate as Mexicans. Like, Mexicans love Speedy to death. They'll wear shirts with him on it. They'll collect him in their room and stuff. There's even a picture of Gutierrez here wearing apparel and having some figures and stuff for Speedy. So I expect a really good movie from somebody who's a fan of the character. I hope they set it in the time that Speedy Gonzales historically took place in the old Looney Tunes cartoon, which is about the time of the settling colonial mission era of Spanish Mexico. That would be really fun, but you could set it in any time between then and now. So I wasn't really excited about the last movie related to Looney Tunes that Warner Brothers put out because it was a play on The Day the Earth Stood Still, I think was it. And it was like an alien invasion movie that didn't have Marvin the Martian in it. I'm like, what the heck are you doing? What's even the point of doing any parody of an alien invasion movie without Marvin the Martian, you know? Like, he's your resident alien. So that just made me lose all interest in even watching it. I barely heard about it before it came out. One of our regular chatters, regular viewers told me about it. And within like 3 responses of he's explaining it, I gained interest and lost interest immediately. This, I'm fully interested in. I would go to the theaters to watch a Speedy Gonzales movie. Speedy's cool. Other things in the news. We got a first look at, what's her name? Sophie Turner as Lara Croft in the new Tomb Raider movie. And I think, for the most part, she looks good. She looks like Lara, as much as she could. I might have a few criticisms on how they're handling the costume, but you know, she looks as much like Lara as she can. I think Angelina Jolie looked even more like that, and I don't even mean just because of her like proportions or anything. Lara's a character that in the earlier games wore makeup even when she was like running around in the jungle doing things. It doesn't really look like Turner here is wearing much makeup aside from like the standard neutrals you have to wear to make it look like you're not wearing makeup. And you can see it. Like I can obviously see some blush and stuff on her, but it's definitely what you would call like nude makeup, the type that is supposed to look like you're not wearing it. And so there's just little tiny things that take me out of it. It is a makeup test though. It is her in front of like a standard photo shoot background. It may look different in the movie. I'm not going to judge it too much, aside from like, it looks like a Lara Croft costume. She has the right sunglasses on. Her hair's braided back. She's wearing the short shorts. She's wearing the, I don't know what you would call that color, teal. It's like a dark teal, kind of sleeveless top. She's wearing the straps for everything that she has on. the gloves. I have no complaints about the costume itself. They have the right writers and director on the film. It might actually even be the best Tomb Raider film. I don't know. I have to see what the script is. Hopefully they're pulling more from the old Tomb Raider franchise and not the new one, because I've just kind of hated everything they've done since they rebooted it. And do I have a lot of faith that they're going to pull from the good Tomb Raider stuff? No, but I don't have zero faith. Just because it does seem like the winds are changing, and there are some people in charge of the property that are trying to go back a bit to how it was before. The trailer for the new game seems to be leading in that direction. So I hope the movie is also leaning in that direction. I might actually hold my breath on this one a little bit. Might even go see it, and then we can review it, whether it's good or bad. Doesn't matter. What else do we have? Oh, Netflix still trying to buy WB. That's still trying to go through. And a lot of people have weirdly thought that if Netflix bought WB, they would stop putting movies in the theaters, or they would ruin their own theater runs by putting movies immediately on Netflix, which would not be a very smart idea. I think Netflix has looked at other streaming services and learned from their mistakes, because they seem to have no intention of doing that. Netflix's boss has said that they want to actually win in the theatrical business. So there is currently a 45-day window that WB has before anything can go to Max or anything like that. So you have your full theater run and then some anticipation before the movie comes out. And Netflix plans to keep that 45-day window intact for both streaming and when things go to Blu-ray and DVD, if the sale goes through. That is smart. You make more money from the movie theaters, if you didn't know that. All the money you make from a theater run comes from distribution. Theaters pay to play your movie, and they make their money back off of like popcorn and drinks and stuff. It's a very healthy, symbiotic relationship between the production companies and the theaters that have been going on for a very long time. And only recently has it become unsavory to the audience because of like inflation and other things driving the price up. I think theaters, a lot of them have worked on trying to drive that price back down because they've been losing a lot of money from people not going and seeing it. They have to understand that the theater is a very social experience. People don't just go there to watch a movie. You want to watch a movie with other people more often than not, unless like you're really interested in a movie. And I think Netflix understands this, and that's why they're still banking on, if they buy DC, everything getting its full theater run without competition from their own service. Which is really just a win-win for them, right? Because then they get to put it on their service immediately after that window's done. And they get to double dip on it. Because hardly anybody's buying Blu-rays these days. You should, if you have the space and money for it. It's good to buy physical media, but hardly anybody is. You have to be realistic on how most audiences are. And a lot of people who enjoyed something in the theater will probably watch it again when it hits home. And that's all the movie news. The last thing I wanted to talk about was I saw this really cool little commercial. I liked it from a commercial standpoint, like an ad that Netflix shot, because it felt like an old toy commercial for the new Ocarina of Time Ganon Showdown, I guess is what you want to call it. But you know, the ultimate boss fight of Ocarina of Time. After you fight Ganondorf, you and Zelda have to run down the collapsing castle. There's a bunch of smaller fights you have to do along the way. It's almost like a gauntlet. There's some harder things, like I think some Stalfos and stuff in there. And by the time you get to the bottom, Ganondorf resurrects as the demon Ganon in front of you. They made a Lego set based off of that, where you have Link, you have Zelda, who for some reason just seems to be shooting light from her hand. which I guess is not inaccurate to what was happening in the game. It's just kind of weird the way they did it. It's got some of the crumbling ruins of Hyrule Castle. It's got a Triforce in front of it, and this huge Ganon. It's not a minifig. It's not even a big fig. It is just like a Ganon you actually have to piece together with Legos. Kaiju Ganon. And it looks great. And I think it's still going to be kind of expensive because Lego bricks are expensive in general. But because it's a smaller set, it'll be more reasonably priced than the big Deku Tree set that nobody can afford. And it will be, I say reasonably priced. I'm never getting this. $130. I will wait until they're like, listen, we just cannot sell this at all. Let's drop it down $30. 100, maybe. 130, nah. I'm saying that's just too much. Licensed Lego is the worst. It's the worst hobby to try to get into now. Everything's more expensive than it used to be, and it's not just at the rate of inflation. But the commercial was really cool. That was the thing I liked about it. I thought it was like a really rad... if I were to place the era the commercial felt like it came out of, it felt like probably around 2004, 2005. Like that type of toy commercial. And it had like that Lego stop motion film feel to it. I liked it. If you didn't have a chance to see the commercial, you should go and look up the Lego Ocarina of Time, the final battle advertisement. There was the $650 Pokemon set. Oh yeah, that's ridiculous. It was the Pokemon Evolutions kit that was that much. Yeah. It was twice as much as the Deco Tree, which is around like $300. Oh. Let's see. You watched a friend lose the 50-50 5 times in a row on the 6th anniversary banner of Arknights today. Oh, that sounds awful. My condolences. If you happen to talk to them again, tell them that even a complete stranger on the internet passed their condolences on. I don't think I've ever lost a 50-50 that many times in a row in any game. Maybe. No, I did. Now that I think about it. There was a streak. I won my first 50-50 in ZZZ on my private account for Ellen Joe. And then I kept saving. Then I still got you win somehow during this with how tight the beginning banners were. There was just that much in the game. But I lost every 50-50 in ZZZ until Yishwin. I think Yishwin's the first 50-50 I won. ZZZ was just like boning me hard for the whole first year of the game. I don't know what I did to deserve that. Maybe it's because I was winning literally everywhere else, but man, was it bad. I basically had to plan all of my pulls around the fact that I was going to go to at least soft pity, and I was losing the 50-50. Now, my luck has kind of stabilized back to normal. I think I've won almost all my 50-50s since then, which is more usual for me. Maybe losing 1 or 2 here and there, but I win more often than I don't. But man, I was just in the trenches for that first year. Still with some crazy luck, though. Had some better luck getting the 2 new 6 stars in around 110 pulls on the alt account. Main had no pull save, sadly. Yeah. Yep. But anyway, that's it for the show. Thank you for coming and keeping me company and participating in the chat. And thank everybody for watching, whether you're still here or not at any point in time in the show. If you happen to like the show, please grab that link, share it out. It doesn't have to be for the show itself. You could go share the channel link. It's a little easier. Tell your friends about it. Tell your enemies about it. Get them mad and join in. I don't care who's watching. We're here more often than not at about midnight Eastern Standard Time, 11 Central. And we will probably be playing Enfield on launch. We stream some games earlier in the day during the weekdays most of the time. And we'll see you guys then.